Hey everybody, how you doing? I have a lot of live stream news to get through, and I'm going to do that. I have just realized I forgot to tweet this out, so bear with me. It is 11:31 Eastern, 8:31 back in Oakland and the West Coast, and right now I am getting out news that Loren Taylor poll that he released, which wasn't covered by much except the campaign itself, reports that Barbara Lee has a 45 to 41% lead over Loren, which the Taylor campaign calls a statistical tie. And that's correct. Generally, anything inside of 5%, at or inside of 5% in the political polls, is within what's called the margin of error, and therefore is called a statistical tie. So they're not wrong at all. They're not wrong. And um, let's see here. We have, let's see here. We also have the related information that I'm going to report in a second. That is the press release from the campaign. I'm going to read it to you. It's not long in its entirety, so no one can say I left anything out. I'm going to do that once I finish tweeting out this information that's related to it. Make absolutely certain that you see it. So here, excuse me for a second, because the system is a bit slow. And it's a bit slower than I would like. And on top of all that, so we have this information coming out. Then I have another one that has to do with the Social Security mess. And folks, it is a mess. It is a horrifying mess, caused strictly by the budget cuts that were put in by Elon Musk and its Doge program, and they're causing already a great deal of destabilization in Social Security with people. People are really mostly concerned about getting their payments, but the real problem is that because of the cuts are people getting fired. Now, as I'll explain later, there was no need for this, folks. Okay, there was absolutely no need for it. Okay, so now that I've got that out of the way, let me present to you what the Loren Taylor for mayor campaign was putting out. It's their poll alert, and following the only Oakland Mayoral debate hosted by KTVU, this is what they're saying, not me. There are a number of hosts. Well, KTVU hosted a number of mayoral debates, so that's actually not correct. But at any rate, it reads, the latest poll commissioned by Loren Taylor's campaign reveals a statistical tie between Loren Taylor and Barbara Lee. The March poll conducted March 17th through 18th among 854 likely voters shows Barbara Lee at 45% and Loren Taylor at 41% in first place votes, which puts the race within the margin of error of 3.35%. Currently, 14% of voters are either undecided, 9%, or voting for somebody else, 5%. So, in other words, of the 14%, 9% of those 14% are undecided, and 5% are voting for someone else. In January, Congresswoman Barbara Lee held a 56% versus 23% lead against former Councilmember Taylor, and they say it's because of her long-standing presence in Oakland politics and near universal name recognition. In February, however, that support dropped, with Barbara Lee leading 46 to 25% in the initial survey. The current March poll shows that Taylor gained 16 points, moving from 25% of first choice votes in February to 41% of first choice votes in this week's survey. Now you would say, what's this first choice vote stuff, right? It has to do with ranked choice voting. So you can choose first choice, second choice, third choice. This time, you should be able to choose all of the candidates. In this case, we're talking about 7. Whereas in the last mayoral election, you were only able to choose the top 5. And so I'm going to double check with the registrar to see if that's still the case, where you can, finally, and we were supposed to finally have the technology where you could rank them all, first to last in terms of who you wanted for your choice for mayor, right? But at any rate, that's what they're referring to in this survey. The survey was done by Brandon Miller from Blueprint Polling, and Brandon says the election has tightened dramatically, with Barbara Lee at 45% and Loren Taylor 41% in first choice votes, which puts this race just within the margin of error of 5%. 5%. And as I already read to you, that's just repeating he is just repeating what I just told you. And then he says, following the KTVU debate, Barbara Lee has struggled to maintain make her case to the Oakland residents. Viewers heard 2 different perspectives. They will decide whether Washington, D.C. budget allocations and insider politics, or my local government experience, this is Loren saying this, and pragmatic approach with specific plans to move Oakland forward, or what Oakland needs now. The latest poll shows that voters are looking for a mayor who can keep Oakland out of bankruptcy and root out corruption. My campaign's message is that I am best positioned to make hard choices centering Oaklanders. My campaign's message, Loren says, that I am best positioned to make hard choices centering Oakland's is resonating with voters. And then he goes on to say that the survey reveals key trends that boosted Taylor's name recognition and helped close the gap with Barbara Lee. Concerns over Oakland's teetering on the edge of bankruptcy due to deficit, corruption, mismanagement inside of City Hall, and the need for tangible improvements such as 911 response, affordable housing, and cleaner streets. So that's what it's saying, all right? And I have to add that I went to Google Trends and made a video. You can see here on Zenny 62 on YouTube, the vlog report with Zenny 62, that discovered that, first of all, with a 90-day lookout, Barbara Lee had the search engine intensity lead 62% to 37%. But when you looked out the last 30 days, that lead dramatically shrank to, guess what? Yeah, 45 for her to 40 for Loren Taylor. You can't make this up. So basically, yeah, the results from the latest Google Trends numbers match the results from the polling that was done for Loren Taylor's campaign. So, and you can actually see it in the line numbers. Loren went from basically having no search intensity to picking it up over the past 3 months of the campaign, to then getting a point where he was matching Barbara, but just behind her. So the question is, would anything happen that would put him just above her? Right now, I can tell you this is a close race. Some people had it. One person on Facebook who I've known for years, I'm not going to repeat his name, but he was trying to get Barbara Lee supporters to pick someone else other than Loren Taylor for their second choice. But that's not going to fly. And the reason it's not going to fly is that it's math. It's the math of recognition. There are only 2 candidates that have significant control or representation over the intensity of, or the number of people who are searching for topics online related to the mayoral election. In other words, Barbara Lee and Loren Taylor, people going online to find out most about them, and that's it. And that's because they have successfully paid the mainstream media, I said it just like that, to focus just on them. There's no other way to put it than that. On top of that, the other candidates are not good at using just being blunt, at using social media and digital media to make their own content to counter what Loren Taylor and Barbara Lee have done. They have the most supporters, so those supporters are active on social media, making content, advancing content, and that plays a big role. Overall, the search intensity in the mayor's race is not so great. There's been this breakout where either Loren or Barbara is at national level of celebrity where they're at 100%. So right now, it is really a tied race. It is really a race that anybody can win. And my point is that ranked choice voting will play a role, but not at this point an outsized role, because you don't have any other candidate that has such a large following that they can make the difference. That person's not there. It doesn't matter who you look at. People who you thought might have been in that position dropped out. Folks that, or for example, Suzanne Robinson's just getting to the point where she's gaining a little bit of traction. Mimi Penichuk has 2% of the representative search intensity on Google search, according to Google Trends, and that's it. That's absolutely it. Nothing else. She is the closest candidate of all of the candidates to anybody that might have some type of impact, putting one person over the other. But if Barbara's followers are greater in number and her voters are greater in number than Loren's, then what this projects is that Loren's going to lose a close race. That's what it looks like. Only an 11th hour or 9th hour or 10th hour bit of news that tilts this whole thing, that causes the search intensity to go way up, causes it to go way up in favor of one candidate over the other for wrong reasons, will make that difference. That's it. Or if one of the other candidates, if there's some bit of news about that other candidate that causes them to all of a sudden suck up the air, right, and totally perturbate the numbers. Let's say that Donald Trump comes out and says, just to be a blankety blank, hey, Minnie Penichuk is the person that you support for mayor of Oakland. Now, it doesn't necessarily mean that she'll win, but her Google Trends will just take off to gargantuan proportions, because the president of the United States pointed her out as someone that should be chosen. And look, her recognition will go up. She'll get a lot of votes. Oakland's a Democratic town, so the idea that she could actually win is unimaginable. That would literally be thinking the unthinkable. But on the other hand, this political season has been weird, hasn't it? But that's the only way any of the candidates have any chance. Or let's say if California Governor Gavin Newsom comes out and picks one of the candidates to be mayor. Suppose Gavin comes out and picks someone other than Barbara and Loren and makes it public. That has a gigantic impact too. Who that could be, I'm not saying, okay? But Gavin's want to stay out of this at this point for a lot of complicated reasons. 4 I can think of. One of them has to do with his relationship with people like Rob Bonta and also Barbara Lee, and who is, I believe, is smarting over Gavin having not picked her for Senate, as opposed to Senator Padilla, who's in place now. Remember that whole thing? Unfortunately for Barbara, where she's at, and I have to say this just candidly, I think her deciding to run for mayor was not a good idea, because she's discovering that because of the way that she was a congresswoman, it didn't automatically translate to mayor of Oakland, because it's difficult for the common Oaklander to think of anything that she's directly done that was publicly known on a wide scale, okay, uh, that had an impact on the city. Now, I can think of one, and that's the American Rescue Program during the pandemic. Barbara Lee made sure that Oakland restaurateurs, Oakland business people knew about the PPP loan program. She had a town hall set up on Zoom during. You can watch it here on Zenny62, the vlog report with Zenny62. All you have to do is type American Rescue Plan Barbara Lee Zenny62 on YouTube, and you can watch it. But and it didn't get a lot of views, folks. Okay, there weren't a lot of people searching for it. And that's just the bottom line. And the campaign itself didn't have a live stream that it put out for Oaklanders to see, and there was no news organization that was involved either, other than mine. So there you are. And then on top of that, Barbara Lee was basically invisible. I have to just be candid. When us folks who got PPP loans and and also economic injury disaster loans were having trouble with all of the bureaucratic issues we were experiencing, that caused a number of us to be the focus of claims that, well, you shouldn't have gotten that much money or anything like that. It was a big, big national scandal. Barbara could have really cemented her future by jumping in and helping us. Instead, we all had to go to work on our own. Like for me, I had a situation where the SBA completely misdiagnosed my company and its information. I had to call the lawyer down there in Texas and get on the phone with him. And he goes, "You know what, Mr. Abraham, you're absolutely right. We're really sorry. We totally blew it." I said, "Yeah, because they didn't know how to evaluate internet companies." You hear what I'm saying? All right. So I can go on and on and on. I was involved in a class action lawsuit against the SBA, a national one. Okay. I tried to make Barbara aware of it twice. I heard nothing from her staff or her. And I even tried to call her on cell phone. Okay. So my point is, if she had gotten to work in rolling up her sleeves and helping people in Oakland, people would have remembered that. They wouldn't have forgot it. It wouldn't have been this, well, gee, what have you done for us, right? Loren, on the other hand, Loren had popularity problems in District 6, okay? It was widely known that he wasn't going to run for re-election because he wasn't going to win. Instead, he went and got help from my god sister to run for mayor, ran a good campaign the first time. But what happened was, when he had the opportunity to challenge Shang Tao regarding the hinky way that the registrar of voters handled the ranked choice voting system, Loren chickened out, got right up to the dais, just disappointed everybody. He had the world in the palm of his hand, right here, okay? Right here, but he didn't close. And that passive aggression haunted him. I understand he's been through some medical issues, and it really, I guess, informed him to try a different approach. It looks like it's working. God bless him. But we'll just have to see how it comes out. I mean, you have to say one thing. He's done an admirable job of pushing what I call the wonk approach. And I'm not saying that as a pejorative. I think showing what you can do intellectually to fix Oakland is really where Oakland lives. We need that kind of thinking, that kind of leadership. Unfortunately, is it right amount at the right time, too little, too late? It seems like it's becoming just a little bit right at the right time because he's tied with Barbara. And I applaud him for getting to that point. But I have to also say this. There is no other candidate at this point that understands the formula to unlock the electorate and be the difference in the ranked choice voting aspect of this election. But that's where it stands right now, folks. Subscribe to the vlog report with Zenny62. on YouTube, and bookmark zenireport.com. Thanks. I'll see you all later. And hey, share this around, folks. And hey, Zenny 62 Media is looking for investors. We are a Delaware corporation. And guess what? For those who do invest, we have a different approach regarding media. We make content. We are content creators, content marketers, content management system experts. We have a more robust revenue generation system than other media companies. You will not be disappointed. Check out Zenny62media.com. And if you're being besieged or beleaguered by some so-called mainstream media organization that's really a blog outfit writing crap about you, you know what to do. Hire Zenny62 Media tonight. All right, we'll see you.